Hey, it's Aaron, and today I'm with the 2023 Volkswagen Taos. The Taos, in my mind, kind of replaces the Tiguan, where the Tiguan used to be. So the Tiguan has gotten larger and moved up. It's kind of a mid-size, a small to mid-size vehicle at this point. This is kind of replacing what it used to be, which is more of a compact small. So not quite compact, but really close to it, small vehicle. Volkswagen did a wonderful job on these. They came out last year. This has a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine under there, 151 horsepower out of that. Has a very large cargo area for the size of the vehicle, and it's just well done all the way around. It's very engaging to drive. It feels good to drive it, which is normal for Volkswagen smaller vehicles. It's front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. This particular one is the all-wheel drive model, or for motion. So very, very well done. Let's look at the design like we normally do. Then we'll talk about the working end with the cargo, and we'll get inside it a little bit. So from the side, you're seeing basically Volkswagen's current design language for SUVs. It's a pretty straightforward, not a lot of fluff kind of a design, which is part of the Volkswagen mythos. Volkswagen likes to use what I call Teutonic design, which is function makes the form. So this is very much like that. All the lines are pretty straight. There's not a whole lot of movement and curvature. So if you see me next to it and give you a little bit of perspective, and then you just see very simply off the edge of the light here, there's a line that runs across all the way to the top of the tail light back there. That creates this light shelf. The light shelf is about as wide as my hand, so that's 4.5 inches, I believe. And but it's not just a flat surface on an angle. There's a little bit of a straight edge here, and then kind of a curve out. And then you get that flat edge there. And then the cut goes down and comes back out with a slightly rounded panel. And then down at the bottom, you can see that running board cut. Again, straight lines, no fooling around, and just straight up. The design is very simple and very well done. Now, by starting here and ending all the way back here where they do, you'll notice that that gives this line a slight up tilt. At the same time, the greenhouse is doing the same thing. It's going slightly upwards all the way until it finally cuts. That makes this side wider than back here, but at the same time, it causes all those lines to be on a forward angle, pushing the car forward visually, which is the most basic thing you do in automotive design, is make a car look like it's moving forward even when it's parked. That's yeah, so you see that here very, very clearly. You see some hood cuts. You see this angle here. It doesn't really angle very much. It's pretty square, but they use the visuals. This line right across here, which dips down slightly, this coming up. All these visuals make it look tighter in the back, even though this is a pretty flat roof. It doesn't really dip very much at all. So all of those come together to create what you're seeing right here. I love the wheels. I like the look of this thing, especially for this kind of price point. When you're in this price area, this is looking really good without Volkswagen having to have put a lot of stuff into making it that way. It's just intuitively good looking. It's a really smart design. Let's go look at the cargo area, then we'll get inside it a little bit. So on the back of the vehicle here, you can see it is pretty flat. There's a little bit of a rake here, but it's pretty flat, maximizes that cargo space. You have these right here on either side. These are fake exhaust ports. They're not actual exhaust port. The actual exhaust is way up under there. It doesn't use these at all, but those give the idea of dual exhaust. And then you can just see this is the SEL package, 4Motion Taos right there in the middle. When I open it, sadly, they don't do this on this. A lot of Volkswagens, this tilts up and opens. I love that, it's so cool, and they don't bother. Instead, it's the usual button underneath, and then it opens up to the cargo space. Now, to give you some perspective, I'm 6'3", way over 200 pounds, and I can sit here. I'm not hitting my head on this. I'm not it's pretty decent. So you have a lot of good stuff in here. There's grocery hooks here and here. There's the option for a cargo cover that's not in this one. Underneath this, you have the spare tire and tools. So kind of unusual. 60-40 split on the rear, but you do have that ski pass through on most of the models, including this one. Also, you have tether points for 3 overhead tethers on child safety seats if you want to use them. Now, the space is small enough that I can reach forward and do this button here, if I can get a hold of it, to pop that seat forward and lay it down. But most people are probably going to walk around and do that. And then you have a spot for a milk jug over here, another one over there. I don't know if you get a full gallon in there. Actually, yes, you can, because we did when we went to the grocery store with this. I got a gallon of milk down in there, so you can. But for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward cargo space. Downsides, no tie downs of any kind. There's nowhere to tie your stuff down outside of these grocery hooks, and I would not trust anything to that. Those are just plastic things sticking out. There's no grocery hook on this side. There's just this one over here. So you can hang some bags off of that, which is useful. But there are no tie downs in here for keeping cargo down on the floor if you need to. That's kind of a downer, a bit of an oversight. I've noticed a lot of German vehicles skip that. So, you know, that's on Volkswagen, I guess. But other than that, beautifully done. There's a 12-volt outlet back here. There's cargo lights on either side, just nicely laid out and big for this category. Very large. Let's go get inside. Okay, back seat. The door there does not open to 90. It's more like, I don't know, it's not wide. So that's kind of a downer. You can still get in and out, still okay. But this could be a problem if you have mobility issues getting in and out of the car. But I will say, with this seat set for me at 6'3", I have tons of room. My feet can go underneath when I want to have a little more. The bolstering is pretty good back here, and headroom, even with this panoramic sunroof, I've got a couple of inches of headroom, 1 3/4 to 2 inches there. So this is really well done. For such a small vehicle, this is surprisingly good. Now, there's no adjustment on these seats here. They're either locked where they are right now or they're folded down. There's no in between. So you are a little limited on that, but really, for the price point, that's not bad. Up front here, same story, very well done. The door opens a little wider, but not by too much, but it is a bigger door just because it's the front, so it is a little easier to get in and out. Driver's controls are pretty obvious. Really no exceptions for me to give other than the windshield wipers. You pull and push to do the rear rather than, so you pull it to squirt the front, you push it once, one click, and it runs the rear all the way back, which is on a spring, and it squirts the rear. Other than that, that's everything in here is pretty straightforward. Good infotainment, not the best, not the worst. This particular model has the Beats audio system, which is good. This car is a little bit loud because it is on the lower price end. So this car is a little bit loud with the outside, but not horrible. It's just a little bit. And that does interfere with the music. Also, I very much prefer Volkswagen's Fender systems. But Beats is pretty good and it sounds pretty okay in this car. Then just as far as the drive, I mentioned it before, it feels good to drive this car. Not like sports car great or anything like that, but it's engaging enough and predictable enough when you're driving that you stay on the driving task. It doesn't get bored and it doesn't feel like it can't accomplish things. It's really good. That little 1.5 liter is putting out power in a pretty good band that really feels good in this car. Couple of exceptions. Starting off from a light, it does take a minute for it to decide to pick up, so it is a little slow there. And then getting on the freeway. The freeway here is 75 miles an hour. Going up the ramp and getting to freeway speed, you will need the entire ramp to pull that off. But it doesn't feel like it's struggling. It's not whining or making a bunch of noise. It's just not terribly quick. That's really all it is. But it's, as a daily driver and every day getting everywhere, this thing is great. So there you go. That's the 2023 Volkswagen Taos. I really like this vehicle. I think it is set up well for the market it's aiming for. It feels good to drive. It is a smart vehicle. It's efficient, right-sized, and just really smartly done, really well done. So one of my favorites in this particular segment with these little small, not quite compact SUVs, this is one of my favorite ones. And it's just because it ticks the boxes all the way down really nicely. So yeah, there you go. That's the 2023 Volkswagen Taos. This has been Aaron. Talk to you again soon.